Hello everybody, welcome to the next part of our PPC playthrough, and this probably won't go out to the public, but if it does, you're going to see me playing Rise of the Triad, and this version is a bit glitchy on my setup. You might see a few parallel lines going on the screen, they flicker, and I'm not quite sure why that happened. It's probably a caching issue. Triad is a bit of a Dune clone that came out on the PC, and it's one of the more famous ones. You can see we're supposed to jump over these metal spikes, be brave, and on this section you're supposed to run straight through and not get squashed. Then it's all the way back to the start again, and this reminds me of a Wolfenstein 2 type game where we can shoot German looking guys and we can find secrets and we can get shot to death. Sure if this version has a heads-up display, maybe with the screen size as big as it is, and definitely you can alter these parameters, but maybe it's cut off the heads-up display if we even got one on this game, and you can see it does go on forever. If it wasn't for those screen glitches all the time, this would be a joy to play. But you can see I'm getting absolutely nowhere with it, so let's just quit. Back to our workbench again, and that's Rise of the Triad, another one of those great PC conversions. So this is still using the PPC setup, which is hopefully still linked to the description somewhere, and this isn't the Picasso, so let's check out another one. This is Quake, and there is Quake 68K there, that's the one that we need to run, and let's choose our screen mode. Oh, look at that, we've chosen one which is just too high for this thing, and maybe if you alter the parameters so that it alters the scaling mode so that it auto full screen scales, and that is an option on some of these WinUAE options, but for the moment it isn't doing that, so we're going to have to quit and we're going to have to find a better screen mode that actually works with this game. And there is an all 60 version I think as well, and Amiquake doesn't appear to run on my system, so let's go for the low resolution and Amiquake. Here we go. In case you thought that Quake on the Amiga was impossible, no, it can run it full speed with this setup, because of course we're running RTG, so that takes care of the graphics, and there is some sound as well. And I've actually played this game in such a long time and I can't actually remember where I'm going, but this is the shareware version I think, so what we need to do is to find the available place in the shareware version, and yes, this is starting to look familiar, and I think we've even reviewed this game already, I'm not quite sure, but the point is we are getting through it. You might notice I'm using the mouse to look around at the moment, and maybe a combination of keyboard and mouse is the best way to play this, although you can remap all these controls to a standard joypad if you've got one of them, a multi-button controller, and you can definitely have fun playing this type of game. And anybody who's seen my AntiMicro setup video, which is perhaps linked in the description, that contains how to remap any controller using any emulator on a PC or Mac. Having found that secret area, it's time to push that button, and that will trigger the platform so that we can walk across it, get all of this armour back, and 0 in the corner. I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe that's extra armour with 55, I think, health and maybe 50 bullets. And there isn't much going on at this point as we descend down into hell. And yes, we've even found a nail gun, which makes short work of those enemies, and it's great to see those things in action. But I think you've definitely seen enough of Amiquake for the moment. It has the potential to be a good game. I've never actually played it for that long. So that's Amiquake, and you might notice a few of these icons are building up now as we get through these games, and I will be installing some more games as well. Let's have a look at the new ones. We've got Duke Nukem, which doesn't work because I can't find the right version, the exact right version to run that. I've got version maybe 1.0 and it wants 1.1, so we can have a look at Tyrian, I think it's called. And Tyrian, it doesn't work. Let's just increase the stack. I don't think that's going to work, but we can get through a few of the options screens, but unfortunately the game crashes on my system. I've tried it full screen, I've tried it in a window, I've tried it in all different configurations, and for some reason, no matter what I try with the scaler and everything else, it just does not seem to work. So you can see that we can have many screen modes going on. Let's try it in the full screen, small screen mode, and let's see if that enables this game to run, which I can tell you now, it won't. So that's as far as I got with that game. Let's just reset the computer again and install some more things. You might notice Hexen has appeared and Nightlong as well. So what we're going to play now, it looks like we're going for Open Dune PPC. Cannot run it. Yes, it can. It can run the PPC version. It's exactly the same screen resolution as you've seen before.
House Atreides.
So skipping through these menu screens, it's great to hear the voice speech of
Yes,
this
sir.
game.
Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Construction complete. Warning, enemy unit approaching from the west.
And definitely the voice speech is one of those things which is an enticement to this PC version which is running on our Amiga. But that's Open Dune. I've messed around with that and there's two versions of that. That's the PC version. So let's switch to Hexen. And again, which screen mode do we use? Probably the most minimum screen mode known to mankind. Let's try this. This looks like a PAL version. That's PAL screen ratio, and here's Hexen, and I'm presuming that this is the right mode for this game. I'm not quite sure, and it might surprise you to learn that I haven't actually played this game since I used to play it on a PC back in the day. You can see it's not quite the right screen mode ratio that this game likes. I've no idea whether I've got the screen stretch mode on at the moment. That would be a good idea, so let's try another one. And this would seem to be an NTSC compatible screen mode. That means the game runs in widescreen, which of course it wasn't widescreen back in the day. It was full screen because we only had full screen monitors and full screen TVs. So in Hexen, according to John Romero, he thought it would be a good idea, instead of having a shooting game where you shoot loads of stuff, basically it's you versus the rest of the world and you don't really get much. So in Hexen, apparently, I've never really got that far with it, but apparently you can't shoot guns or anything else, you just have to go around, maybe you get a sword later on, and this is a Doom version, and it's kind of a combat clone, and it's very old and medieval but otherworldly as well. So again, I haven't played this since I saw it being played on a PC back in the day in about 1993, so this must have come out around that time. And you can see I've no idea what is appearing on the floor. Those are just enemy respawn points and they don't really do much. You can go in there, I think, for a shortcut through the game. I failed to do that. So what do we do? Well, there isn't much we can do. There is some steps leading up to some blind alleys, and you might think at this point that there are lots and lots of ways out of this game, and it's forcing me, unfortunately, look at that, a secret tunnel. It's forcing me to hit my way through those stained glass windows in order to get through to perhaps another set of traps. And yes, just like the previous game, we're supposed to get through all this quickly before we get crushed. And I think that's a switch over there. Maybe we can pull that switch, and I don't know what happens. It's revealed a green key, which we're probably going to need to exit this level. So again, I think this is just a dead end scenario. And what we're supposed to do is actually run all the way back through the way that we've already just arrived from. And that is definitely a non-good and healthy proposition for me looking at this stage. So is there anything else that I can do in this room? Literally anything else rather than going through the crusher? It looks like not. It looks like that's my only option. So let's be brave. Let's try it. As soon as this thing opens, I'm going to make a run for it. And hopefully this game will keep up the frames per second to allow me to run out. So we've got a green key. What does that amount to? And I think that's actually where we walked in from. I think we've walked all the way back to the start now. And I didn't notice a green door anywhere. And I'm running around this actually blindly at the moment. So we find some vials. What they're used for, perhaps energy vials. We've got 62 life. And that's as far as I got with that particular playthrough. So that's Hexen running on the Amiga. Let's check out another one. This is Nightlong, and you might notice I have the Nightlong CD in to play this game. At the same time, it's the exact same setup, the PPC setup, which is just reset and crashed, it looks like, but we've still got the CD in, so let's just try that again. Go to PPC Nightlong, and the small one, PPC, that's what we should be running, and it's 640 by 512. Maybe 640 times 400 is the NTSC, so definitely a PAL one is 640 512. Can we get that to run, I wonder? Look at that, some of them run under CyberGrafx and some under the Picasso driver, so we're going to use Picasso, and we're going to see what that makes of this game.
Hugh Martin's. Must have been 5 years ago. But I still remember it as if it were only yesterday.
And so here we are in Nightlong, and this is one of those point and click adventure games that tried to push things with raycast graphics back in the day when it was all fresh and brand new. You can see the colours on offer are great, and we've got some items as well. Let's set off towards the bar. Unfortunately, we can't get to the bar. This is the elevator to the hotel. We can't really use it at the moment.
Maybe I should... It's the tenancy regulations. The usual stuff. It's one of Ruby's cards that Hugh gave me.
You see various keys as well. Let's try those.
Standard numbered letterboxes. It's one of the items that Hugh
at least the one key that we seem to have. Let's put that in the box.
Shit, it's stuck. Jesus, I nearly broke it. I'd better leave it. The map of the structure. There are 8 floors of apartments and a subway entrance in the basement.
Great graphics that you can see outside, and there is a water tank right above our heads. Not that the player will be really noticing that, or the great details and everything, because at the very start of the game, nothing seems to be working for me. I've used every item on everything that you can click on. It doesn't seem to be working.
Damn, it's not working. Shit, I overdid it.
And now we've busted the controls to the elevator so we can no longer use it. I'm no wiser as to where to go in this game. You can see arrows, green arrows. You would think that you can exit this screen via them, but you can't, because this is actually floating in the air, so those green lines and those red ones on the opposite side, they're takeoff and landing points for the vehicles that you can see. So we definitely know that at some point we're going to have to use those vehicles to exit. Unfortunately, having checked out those vehicles, it says that I'm not going to use it because it's not my vehicle. So I'm presuming that one of the keys fits the vehicle so that we can get off this thing, because the rail at this point doesn't seem to offer us any opportunity to tie anything to it. So it's desperation time. Let's check out some of those vehicles and see if this thing starts to make any sense.
It's not the right key to open this lock.
We seem to have picked something up off the floor, and I didn't even check to see what that was. This is the very first time I've seen this game or played it. As you can probably guess, I'm just loading this up. I've just installed it. So what have we got? Small key, a foil paper. So let's sort out that panel. and he says, oh, I don't know what to do there. I've got a foil key and I've got 2 conduit holes there. I've no idea. So it doesn't matter what he's trying to do with this thing. Maybe he's supposed to slip it under the door, and magnetic paper doesn't fit with a pen either. It doesn't really matter. Nothing's working.
Visual device that Hugh gave me.
So apart from the voice, speech and everything going on, you definitely need a walkthrough to find out what's going on. It's very nice and presented in at least 256, perhaps even more than that, colours, and that's Nightlong, and so that's as far as I got with that particular game. Now let's switch to Earth 2140. You can see we've got the CD in the drive, and that means we get the CD music. And there are 2 screen modes. The WOS is for Warpath, which I think we don't have, but let's try the other one. And I'm not quite sure this is the screen mode that I usually use. It appears to be going way too quickly, so I think JIT off is definitely required for this game to make it run at the right speed. And if I remember correctly, this game I had a lot of trouble trying to get it to run at the right speed. In the options we can change the controls, and in one of these things, mouse reverse, that's very helpful. Controls, let's see if we can reduce the speed, and yes we can reduce that. It's got 3 speed factors, 1, 2 and 3, let's put it on number 2, and now the scrolling is still hideously fast because we've got the JIT on. And scroll speed, can we change scroll speed? Let's put that on minimum, and let's see if that does anything to make this a bit more playable. And you can mess around with controls all you like, and I don't think any of the volume knobs actually work on this installation. And you can change the tracks, the CD tracks as well, that we're hopefully playing off the CD at this point. And at this point I can't remember how to control this game. I have beaten the game, I've beaten all of these RPGs, and I'm playing as the humans now, it looks like, with this load, and it looks like I've just quit out, but I have completed it completely with the aliens, and the aliens is a much more fun proposition because they get to use walkers, and walkers also have shadow potential, so they can be invisible. And definitely if you have some kind of hovercraft that gets over all the terrain, load those up with walkers that are shadowed, then that means that you can have ninja skills going in to raid the enemy bases, and this game is very fun. Unfortunately, playing it with the army, I think I only got towards level 8. I didn't complete this game with the army. That's the Earth Defence Force, you can see right there, the green guys. And yes, you can see that we can slow it down. It's a bit more playable. You can see we've heightened the graphics up to 800 by 600, which plays perfectly fine. And yet this PPC setup is still playing it too quickly. And definitely with the JIT off and playing it, I think, in the second control method with the second speed and maybe a reduced resolution of graphics, then this thing actually is fluid and very playable. And the more of the enemies or the more natives that you get going on this game, the slower it will get. So it's good if everything speeds round at the beginning, because halfway through the game everything will start to slow down. See, at the start of this mission we get our first few buildings, and they have to be in a clear area when you click on them in a clear area, then they will build. But the first building has turned out to be basically a barracks, and troops can be built and poured out of there. You can see basic troops, and it looks like the other building manufacturer is actually for the main base. And once we've got that built, then we can select different things to build. So just like Napalm that we saw, this is just as good as that. Well, maybe not quite as good, but it's got the graphics, it's got the playability. Fortunately, it hasn't got the music. The music is pretty boring and repetitive, so that's about enough as I'm going to show you of that game. So what else have we got to show you? Jetpac. Again, Jetpac is one of those JIT-off games, and I think this runs on an 040 PPC. I can't get it to run on this thing because it's running a Cybervision graphics card and everything else. So that's Jetpac. You can also see that's messed up my backgrounds as well. And what's this? ASCII Portal. This is a complete waste of time. This is Portal, but redone in ASCII art. And so this is a DOS game converted. The only great thing about it is it's got those voice speech sampled sound effects. So that's ASCII Portal. Somebody bothered to convert that onto the Amiga. And we also have, what is this? Flash NG. Flashback presents Flash NG. It appears to be a perfectly working Arkanoid clone, or Breakout. And yes, fantastic. It works. So if you like those games, I've never played it, so those are lesser good games.